Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to the Dice Tower Digest, where I take a look at the board gaming news from the past week or so and give it to you real quick what's going on. So, Days of Wonder, which whenever they announce a game is a big deal. They've announced Deep Blue. Will you be the most adventurous diver? This is a game about diving. Has one of the most beautiful covers that I've seen for a board game in a while. And it looks like I'm hoping it goes back to their roots as making some really quality, great family games. Plan B Games has announced Century Golem Eastern Mountains. So Century is kind of an interesting story where Emerson Matsuuchi made Century, and they made a regular version of Century, and then they made the Century Golem Edition. But the normal edition, then had Eastern Roads and New Worlds, and had a New World had some expansions too that you can mix them together. The Golem one was just the base game, and they really implied that was all they were going to ever do, but now, hey, they're coming out with this. So if you want it to Golem Edition, which in my opinion and many others is much prettier than the first version, this is the one to get. And I'm assuming if they're coming out with the second game in the series, that all but assures the third game will come out at some point. Diamonds is getting a second edition. This is from Stronghold Games, Mike Fitzgerald. It's a trick-taking game. Most trick-taking games kind of come and fizzle and go because there's not a huge audience for them, but this one's good. Now, the picture looks like it comes with like a little safe to put your diamonds in that you're collecting. I don't know if that's the case. I can't tell if it's like a cardboard mark or not. I'm assuming it is, but we'll have to see. Pegasus, Spiele, at Gencon is premiering Tricky Druids and Crown of Emara. Now, Crown of Emara is not necessarily a new game. It came out of Essen. It's one of our favorite games from that show. You can see a review. Really like it. Tricky Druids, where you're trying to collect stuff. So it's cool to see these coming to Gen Con, and I hope people like them. Quest for El Dorado, a new international edition of it with artwork from Vincent Dutrait, has been announced, and apparently there's different companies doing this game. Not quite sure what the announcement was explaining. It was just basically saying, hey, all the expansions will work with the different editions of the game. Looney Labs has a little microgame coming out, Are You a Robot?, where there's 3 people, 2 humans, 1 robot. You got to figure out who it is and shake hands or shoot somebody. It sounds like a fascinating little, psychological game. I'm interested in seeing this one. Shards of Infinity has a new expansion called Shadows of Salvation coming out. It's going to have a new hero, new faction, with some new mechanisms with that faction. There's going to be a co-op campaign style. Doesn't look like a big expansion, but it looks like there's a lot jammed in it. 118 cards. The Dietz Foundation, this is from Jim Dietz. He used to be head of Jolly Roger Games, which was then bought up by Ultra Pro, who incidentally publishing Shards of Infinity, which I just talked about. Anyway, he started a new company, the Dietz Foundation, which is the first, he told me, is the first non-profit game company. And their first game is going on Kickstarter. I don't normally mention Kickstarter news in this, but I thought that was interesting enough to talk about. Barenpark has Bad News Bears, which is still, it's kind of weird that it's a German name and now the subtitle. Anyway, it's an expansion which is going to add monorails and grizzlies to this really good tile-laying game. And finally, Ticket to Ride is getting a TV series. No, it's not about people making deliberately bad routes all over America trying to score the most points. Instead, it looks like it's going to be a reality TV race game where people go around the world. So it sounds very similar to Amazing Race. So I'm not really sure what the difference is between the two. I guess we'll find out more details as we get closer. But it is in conjunction with Asmodee and is using the name of that game, Ticket to Ride. I don't think they can ride trains the whole time. We'll have to wait and see. That's the News Digest this week. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time.